Sometimes the heaviest thing we carry isn't what's in our hands. It's what's in our heart. A word we can't forget. An apology we never received. A memory that still burns when we touch it. You tell yourself you moved on. You smile. You work. You even laugh. But some nights, when the noise fades and you're left alone with your thoughts, you can still feel that quiet ache, the one that whispers, "It shouldn't have ended like that." If you ever found yourself replaying old conversations in your mind, rewriting what you should have said, wishing they'd said something different, know this: you're not broken. You're human. And that's what humans do when they've been hurt, but haven't yet healed. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's not saying it was okay. It's gently whispering to yourself, "I'm ready to stop suffering for what's already over." Pause with me for a moment. If these words feel close to your heart, don't just listen. Say them out loud or write them somewhere only you'll see. I'm learning to live lighter. Because sometimes the first step toward freedom is simply saying it. Admitting that you're tired of carrying so much. And maybe, just maybe, that's why you found this message today. Not by chance, but because some part of you is finally ready to let go. When I look back over my own life, I can tell you, my greatest lessons didn't come from success or applause. They came from the moments when my heart was heavy with resentment, when someone's words, or maybe my own mistakes, built a wall I didn't know how to tear down. I used to think forgiveness was about letting the other person off the hook. But I've learned something truer. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the chain that keeps you tied to yesterday. There's an old saying I've always loved: don't try to saw sawdust. You can't relive the past. You can't reshape it by worrying over it. What's gone is gone. And yet, so many of us keep dragging yesterday's pain into today, wondering why the load feels so heavy. Let me share something I've learned after years of teaching, listening, and simply being with people, business leaders, students, mothers, workers, dreamers. Every one of them carried some story of hurt. But the happiest among them had one thing in common. They learned to forgive, not because others deserved it, but because they deserved peace. Years ago, after one of my talks, a man waited quietly until everyone else had left. He stood near the stage, holding his hat in his hands. He looked tired, not the kind of tired that comes from work, but from something heavier. When I walked down to greet him, he said softly, "Mr. Carnegie, I've been angry for 20 years. Angry at my brother. We haven't spoken since our father's funeral. And you know what? I don't even remember what started it." I looked at him for a moment and asked, "And how has that anger served you?" He stared at the floor. After a long pause, he said, "It's ruined every Christmas since." I didn't tell him to rush home and apologize. I just said, "You can't drive your car forward if you keep your eyes glued to the rearview mirror. You'll miss all the life that's waiting in front of you." A few months later, I saw him again. His eyes were softer this time. He told me he'd written a letter, just 3 short lines. "I'm sorry for my part. I miss my brother. Can we start again? No long explanations, no blame, just release." And he said, "That letter gave me more freedom than I've felt in 20 years. That's the power of forgiveness. It doesn't rewrite the past. It redeems your present. You see, resentment is like carrying a stone in your shoe. At first, you think you can keep walking. It's just a small discomfort. But with every step, it rubs and presses until you can't ignore it anymore. Eventually, it's not the stone that hurts the most. It's the habit of holding on. Forgiveness isn't a one-time act. It's a choice we renew every day, like opening a window to let in fresh air. When you hold a grudge, you give a part of your energy to the person who hurt you. But when you forgive, you take it back. In my book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, I wrote, cooperate with the inevitable. That means accepting that what's done is done and making peace with it. It doesn't mean you approve of what happened. It means you refuse to let it poison your spirit any longer. Sometimes forgiveness doesn't even involve another person. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one in the mirror. We punish ourselves for mistakes we made years ago, mistakes no one else even remembers. But life isn't a courtroom, it's a classroom. You're not meant to be judged forever. You're meant to learn and move on. Let me share a few gentle steps that might help you start letting go. First, name the pain. Honestly, write down what still hurts. Not to relive it, but to bring it out of the fog. As long as the pain remains vague, it controls you. Once you name it, it starts to lose power. Second, ask yourself, what did this teach me? Every wound carries a whisper of wisdom. Maybe it taught you compassion. Maybe it showed you what you'll never do to someone else. Don't let that lesson go to waste. Third, speak words of release. You don't need to call anyone or make a big gesture. Just find a quiet moment and say, I choose to let this go. I choose peace over pain. Say it again and again until your heart starts to believe it. Forgiveness isn't about feeling ready. It's about being willing. And fourth, fill the space. When you let go of resentment, don't leave that space empty. Fill it with gratitude, with kindness, with something that lifts you higher. Life abhors a vacuum. If you remove bitterness, love will find its way in. A friend once told me about his father, a man known for his temper. He carried grudges like medals, but near the end of his life, something changed. He began writing letters, short, trembling notes to the people he'd hurt or ignored. One day, his son found a stack of them tied with string. Most had never been mailed. When he asked why, the old man smiled and said, I realized I didn't need to send them. Writing them was enough. The forgiveness had already happened right here, and he tapped his chest. That's when I understood something profound. Forgiveness isn't really about the other person. It's about who you become when you let go. When you forgive, you don't change the past. You change the meaning of it. You turn pain into wisdom. You turn mistakes into lessons. And you turn endings into beginnings. If you can do that, life will surprise you. You'll find peace where there used to be struggle. Colors seem brighter, conversations lighter, laughter easier. Forgiveness is the oxygen of the soul. Without it, we suffocate in our own bitterness. With it, we breathe again. So, my friend, if there's someone you need to forgive, maybe even yourself, don't wait for the perfect moment. Start now. Because the longer you hold on to anger, the longer you postpone your peace. Remember this old line. Two men looked out from prison bars. One saw mud, the other saw stars. You choose what to see, the wound or the wisdom, the loss or the lesson. And whatever you choose will shape the rest of your days. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It rewrites your future. It's not weakness. It's the highest form of strength. It's saying, I will not let yesterday steal another tomorrow. And maybe, just maybe, when you lay your head down tonight, you'll feel a little lighter. Because Forgiveness has already begun. Tomorrow may never come, but today is here, waiting for you to live it. You know, sometimes when I look at the world, all the noise, the tension, the rush, I think about how rare it's become to simply pause, to stop chasing the next thing and just breathe. Forgiveness is a kind of pause like that. It's not dramatic. It doesn't need an audience. It's a quiet decision you make in the middle of an ordinary day to stop letting the past write your story. And when you do that, something remarkable happens. The world doesn't suddenly change, but you do. The same memories stop hurting so much. The same people don't weigh as heavy. And you begin to see the beauty that's been waiting all along, the kind you couldn't see while you were carrying all that pain. If you're listening to this right now, I want you to take a slow breath, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let the words settle. You don't have to fix everything today. You don't have to be fully healed to start living again. You just have to be willing. Forgiveness isn't a finish line. It's a daily act of courage, a choice to let your heart stay open even after it's been bruised. And that kind of courage, that's how peace begins. Maybe you'll write a letter or whisper a few words before you fall asleep tonight. Maybe you'll forgive quietly without telling anyone. That's okay. Sometimes the most powerful moments are the ones nobody sees. What matters is that you stop dragging the weight of yesterday into the light of today, because life, real life, happens here in this moment, not in the past you wish you could change. And if you need a reminder, here it is. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become next. So tonight, before you close your eyes, say it once more, gently, like a promise to yourself. I'm learning to live lighter, and when you wake tomorrow, let that be your first thought. Not the pain, not the past, but the choice to begin again. You deserve that peace. You deserve that freedom. And it all begins with one small act: forgiveness.